that intro once again. Hi everyone, it is Johnny McIlherran. Thank you very much indeed for joining me for another episode of In the Metal. And this week in the Metal, we are literally your feet on the street. We are your news hounds who have just been checking out one of the events that have been taking place around the world, which happens to have been in Jay's neck of the woods. And the event in question was the Indies NYC, an extravaganza of independent watchmaking run by collectors for collectors. And I wasn't there, but Jay was there. And so, Jay, would you like to come on board and tell us all about it? How are you, first of all, man?
I'm very good. A bit tired, but you know how it is when you're working a lot. And we did the catering, the food and the drinks part for the Indies New York, which is actually the third edition of the Independent Watch Salon. So it's very interesting. My friend John Cruz, he's a Belgian living in Switzerland, and his fiancee Marie Ansel, the other ones were the founders of Indies Salon.
Okay.
They started this 2 years ago in New York with, I think, about seven brands. There were not crazily independent brands, but there were these brands which people knew about, like Baltic, the Space One. There was Brun from Switzerland. The four different numbers changing, and very very cool watches, but nothing, you know and that was the time when what's her name, Twain, Shona Twain,
Shona Tain. Shona Tain.
she came in with her award-winning watch which she had, and that was the highlight for me of that of the Indies. I was a guest. Roman Schaff was there. There were everybody, like there were like crazy 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 people in there, and I was like, I would love to get involved in this situation if possible, but then I just let it be. And John Cruz came in as a member of Gotham Watch Club, and we had a lot of talks, and then he came to eat at the restaurant. He asked me if I would like to do this, the catering for him. The next,
Wow.
yeah, that was the second one. The second one, there were about 10 brands. That was last year in October, and that was a major hit. It was like one of the best things. There was a rapper. There was, I'm very bad at remembering. My memory is very crazy, but we were there, and I did the catering for it, and one of the best events. 400 people in there, packed event, was really really crazy, and that's,
Wonder.
yeah. So that was the second edition of Indies New York, and then they had this one that was yesterday. You see, it's a very very exclusive event. Not everybody can come in, except for the collectors who are onto independent watches and watchmaking. So you see, that is what was the best part about this whole Indies. I am so happy that I'm involved with this. And I'll tell you the lineup of the watchmakers. I'll have to look at it. So you had Andreas Streller with, I think, Gabriel, who was showcasing his watches. I think he was. I mean, there's nothing to talk about those watches. Those are, the watches which you knew it's been happening for the past 30 years or whatever, because that's what his mindset is. Then I had Arion, the designer of the watches was there. His name is Eric, whatever. Anyways, those watches were like very, very, very simple, down to earth, but the mechanical part of it was like crazy. Like, yeah, that is what I'm talking about, the Arion.
This is Arian Delphinos, right? So this was new to me,
Yes.
Jay.
Yeah.
Whenever you shared this, your images with me this morning. Okay, fair enough. This is an image I've taken from the Arian site.
Yeah.
But yeah, very.
Yes, I had this watch in my hand, and you see the way they did the back, the open back was insane. They really had all of those carvings, and there was the pictures of dragons. It was so amazing. It was like very hypnotizing. You're just looking at it, and you're like, wow, what is this? You know what I mean? You see what I mean? It's
Look, I saw it today,
yeah,
and yeah, I was. This is new to me. That's one thing I love about this is that every day you're learning something new. You're
yeah,
discovering
yeah,
something new,
yes.
and I discovered this. So that whenever I found out whenever I saw the movement, I was going, that is
It's crazy. I mean,
insane.
look at that. It's like it elevates itself in such a way that even if it is such a down to earth watch, it's got so much happening over there, and it's polished titanium, and it's as if it's your second skin. As he explains to you, it's like you wear it. I want you to wear it, and I wore it. I was like, wow, I don't feel nothing. And then you look down, and you see this beautiful watch, mother of pearl, and
Yeah,
it's very, very nicely done. The dial, you have these four, you have the petty seconds, you have it's two hand, and you have those stars. You see what I
yeah.
mean? It is really, really beautiful. So that was the Arion, which I thought was, one of the very, very exclusive newcomers, I suppose, in this business.
Before we move on from Arion, I just want to say one of the things that whenever I was reading up on it today,
Yeah,
the movement is by Jean-Francois Mojon
Mojon. Yes,
of
exactly. That's a Mojon moment. Exactly. It's a Mojon.
Chrono.
Yeah.
Jay, look at the Côte de Genève striping
Yes,
on it.
exactly.
Usually, that is in a straight band of ridge lines, you call them. That is curving. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yes. But very symmetrical. It's like as if it had to be there. You know what I mean? It's so beautifully done.
Yeah, it's really, really, really eye catching, and again, it's one of these things. I've just mentioned when you go to these events or when we're talking about independent watches,
Yes.
it's always something new, someone new,
Yeah.
and to see a piece of that. So that was really stood out to me.
Yeah.
And
So that was, and then we had our favorites also there. So we had Sightwinkle, with Albert showcasing the 36, 39, the watch from the
173 degree
Yes,
sapphire.
exactly, sapphire. And
Yeah.
that I tried it on, and it looks so good. It fit. I mean, he always told me the 41 was my watch. He said that is what it is. Your watch is the 41, and that is what you should try on. But I like this smaller version of it. It's such a beautiful. It's the same watch, but it looks more, in hand. It was more there for the person, and it was absolutely fabulous.
I have to say, I thought they were stunning whenever I met them
Yeah.
whenever I met the Zeitwinkel team.
And
In,
also, he never forgets. I had told him once, long time ago, I love to eat those Madeleines from Migros in Switzerland. He got me 3 packets of those. I already finished 2. You see what I mean? That's what Albert is all about. This is a people business. The independent watchmakers are not the ones like those big time commercial guys. These guys have got so much EQ. They are so much involved with the people, the person in front of them. It's insane. I've known him since 2009, literally. I
Yeah.
asked him yesterday, was it 2012 or 2013? He said, no, we know each other 2009. That was the first time we came to your restaurant. 2009.
Amazing. Yeah,
You know what I
he has become one of my very great friends in
Exactly.
this industry.
Exactly.
And as you said, it's about people. Again, this is one of the things that people say to me, they say, "Oh God, you've got this great passion for watches," but I
Yes.
have a fascination with watches. I love the mechanics. I love knowing how things work and looking at something and
Yeah.
figuring it out, and how different watchmakers adapt different approaches to
Yes.
create their
The
watches.
same
But
thing.
if I'm passionate about one thing, Jay, it
Yes.
is about the people,
Yes.
and that's what you get in the independent sector.
Yes.
You're dealing with people first and foremost, and
Yes. But you're looking at the same objective. You're looking at timekeeping, and you see, and there's so many different approaches of timekeeping, which actually began with independent watchmaking. There wasn't anything else. There was independent watchmaking. You're looking about, what was it, Louis Breguet? I mean, you're looking at all of these people who were geniuses, who were trying to make statement about something which was the most important thing in the world:
they
timekeeping.
these guys were the first independents.
Yeah,
Your Bregways, your Mudds, your
yeah,
Harrisons, your Tompions, your Pateks, and uh,
even Patex did took a lot of things from Breguet. You know what I mean?
absolutely, yeah. Patek, after all, didn't it was 1850s
Yeah.
whenever they started. I think
Yes.
actually
Yes.
with Zapek,
Exactly.
whenever they started in so. The, uh, yeah, Patek have done pretty well in the
Yes.
last
Oh, yeah,
hundred
we know about all.
80
We know.
years or so. Yeah, and good luck to them. Good luck to
Yes.
them. But here,
So,
who else did you see? So
so going forward, so we remember we did talk about one particular, uh, two, I think, or two or three watchmakers last episode and the one before. We talk about Frederic Jouvenot. Remember?
of course I remember.
I mean, Frederic Jouvenot. I mean, what is going on here? I mean, I was fascinated by these ones, the size, the concept, and we talked about it. But then I saw the white horse,
Yes.
white horse, with changing colors. It looks like a rainbow. It's like you'll. Yeah, there you go. There you have both of them there, the Holtzman and
Yeah.
Frederick. It's insane how these guys. You look at them. Look at their eyes. I mean, that shows everything about these two people. It's like insanely amazing. And I always said my fascination about independent watchmakers started off already about 20 years ago. And those, I see the same thing even now, the same characteristics, the same emotions and the same feelings about these watchmakers. I mean, I wouldn't think I could walk into a Patek booth and say, "Hey, my name is Jay Kumar, could I look at your watches?" I mean, I'm
But
sorry about that. I mean, it's what makes human, and this is what it is. And
absolutely, Jay. And once you've established yourself, these people get to know you. You're welcomed in with open arms, and I noticed that in Geneva
yeah,
this year. I'm sort of getting in the metal back up and running again, and going out and you feel like you're kind of pitching something new, but it's not new, and you're welcomed straight in there, and I love that,
yeah.
and
And the thing is, I mean, I just mentioned you to a couple of them, and they were like, "Oh my God," they were telling me exactly what you guys were talking about, and that they would love to be in the episode with Dan and all of these things. You know what I mean? This is what watchmaking is all about. And with independence, we can still go to those extremes of talking and going through things which they talk about their watchmaking, and that is amazing. And
yeah,
then I met the braver people, the two founders,
yeah,
Carolina, and what was his name?
Jerome.
Yes, yes, they were both there, and I think that concept about yeah, exactly, the weather and all of those things, that was supposed to be one of the concepts for looking at weather, he said. And then they sort of developed it in a way, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is so genius, so amazingly in insane, the
Yeah,
whole thing. And they are such amazing people. I mean, There are people who were, looking at those watches, and they were explaining to them exactly how it's supposed to be. I was very, amused when the I think the president of Blancpain for Americas, Leonardo, he was at Juvenau's table, and he was like, what is going on here? He was like not aware of what was going on when he showed him the white horse.
Oh, this isn't the White Horse. I don't actually have images of, but I know that this was his Sin, which is the 24-hour
Yes.
With the rotating disc.
Yes,
the artist behind it.
Yes.
It's just such a novel interpretation of the second time zone, and it's, as you say, Frederick Juvenau, Michael Husman, a watchmaker we're going to talk about very shortly. Andre Burkos. These guys think completely outside the box. And
I mean, they don't even know what a box is. They don't even know what a box is, and they don't even give a shit about it. You see what I mean? Everybody inside, they're getting the same freaking models out and launch, rethink of the same bullshit. Sorry to say, but these guys, they don't know what a box is. They know outside of the box, and they go running because the path is so vast. They go running. They find very farthermost stuff, and then they use it with their minds to make something which is insane. Andre Brekos was supposed to be there last year, but he had some issues, so he didn't come in last year for the Indies New York salon, but he came in this year. I think he had the most people in his stable, and he was like, and I've never seen anybody so down to earth, so straightforward. Like he doesn't give a damn about anything. He's like,
no, he is not here to win a popularity contest. Not
no.
Andre is he is absolutely organic. He is just unique. Andre Burkos, folks, is I think Czech born, now settled in Italy.
Yes,
and Andre Burkos is a watchmaker that, when we said that some people think outside the box, and Jay, you said they don't even know what a box is. Andre does not know what a rule book is, because nobody's going to tell him that something cannot be done. No. And he has got one of those. There's watchmakers and there are inventors, and yes. Andre is an inventor watchmaker. Yeah. And I know, I think you possibly saw his deadbeat seconds.
Yes. I saw the father and daughter.
Well, that's another.
That's another story.
That's another story. Let's look at that actually first of all. So what we have is a pair of watches which were specially commissioned by a customer, and the dial is on both of these pieces is made from a superconductor, which has been sanded down.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see the copper and niobium element. So the copper, obviously,
what niobium was till you told me.
It's in between titanium and tantalum. It's a material that is used in superconductors, and it is this absolutely astonishing natural. When I say naturally occurring, obviously it is man-made material, but whenever it is cut into sections and used and sliced into dials, such as Andre has done. And what we're looking at here is not just the dial. We've got a central tourbillon.
Yes.
At the heart of this piece.
Yes.
And the hours and minutes are displayed by pointers. You've got the hours on the inside. There's 2 pointers. There's the minutes indicator rotates around the periphery of the dial, pointing
Yes,
inwards,
outside.
while the hours are the pointer on the inside there, and we're looking at there. I think it's just approaching 10
Past,
minutes to 10, or
yeah,
10 minutes past 10,
yeah,
precisely
yeah.
10 minutes past 10. And this is a completely unique design. And Andre has this thing about his watchmaking too. He very rarely creates the same piece twice. And so even though these two pieces, which look identical,
Yeah.
have very different underpinnings.
Oh, the daughter has the what do you call the
Sonnery and passage.
repeater? Yes.
And
Oh my God.
so which chimes on the quarter and on the hour.
Oh my.
And if you look at that elaborate
What is this? My
gong, you never see this on any minute repeater or any sonnery or
nothing. Oh my God.
nothing like that. And it's the way that he has in his mind, he has created the space in the movement to insert this gong. And you can see the little the 3-armed or 4-armed star wheel, which activates the lever, which is the finger underneath the gong there. And,
Yes.
Man, I saw this, Jay. And,
You did see this, and you saw how it worked.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I actually have not had the pleasure of that experience yet, but I was talked through it, and
I mean, what? How does this man think? I mean, what is this?
I cannot answer that question, Jeff. For once, we have any speechless here. I cannot answer that question. But he has created these things, and then not only that there, but given them this very generous application of super luminova for this extraordinary dark low light display. Incredible. I have to say, having seen these pieces and being talked through them a little bit, everything manufactured by hand. We'll come to another watchmaker who operates on a very similar principle.
Yes.
But that is there's no what I'm trying to say is that it's pretty much exclusively all dreamed up in-house and manufactured in-house. And there are maybe one or two components that come from maybe a base caliber, but there's nothing else that is stock about those pieces. And
everything from here to there.
This is what this is what fascinates me about watches, is about how these ideas, where they come from, the kind of mind. I've said it already on previous episodes, but only Andre Berghuis could create a piece like that, because it's the spawn of his imagination.
Yes.
And but he'll work closely with the customer to bring out the characteristics that they're looking for. And I did read an amusing anecdote about these pieces that we were talking about, that he whenever he was creating them, one of them he messed up so badly he had to go back to the start and remake one of the movements. I would imagine it is the sonnery, but I'm not sure. I don't have that.
I can imagine it could be the sonnery, but I could also imagine him just calmly doing that and organizing himself, because with the people, I see how he is, and I see also how his dedication and focus is on making watches, and the way he explains things. It's I've met a lot of people in my life, but this
I love him. I've spent a couple of hours with him, and he's an incredible character. But whenever we look at the back of this here, you are forgetting of you could forget that we're talking about central tourbillon as well, which
Yes.
is such a rare bird. And as I say, there's no real precedent for it. There's nothing off the shelf about these here. I'm thinking Beat Haldeman, who is another great creator of whose signature pretty much was the central tourbillon also.
Yeah. Isn't also Vianney Halter?
Yes, well, Vianney's tourbillon, of course, being the triple axis tourbillon.
Yeah, I know. That was like insane. That was like, what is going on there?
Many of these watches are insane. They just they take it to another level. So, but there was another watchmaker who I was about to touch on there, and he is Belgian.
Yeah.
And
isn't he Dutch?
Dutch, perhaps. Dutch.
He's Dutch. He's not Belgian. He's Hulsman.
Hulsman. I would be in so much bother. Jay, if you've seen this day, I'm trying to get all the information nailed down on
Didn't we talk about Hulsman also in the last episode? Did we? Or the episode before?
No. We may have mentioned him, but I didn't have images of the.
Yes.
I know that he's working on something absolutely profound. And you said that we talk about it, not yet. We will be talking about it. We'll be talking with him. Yes. And I'm going to do a one-on-one with Dan and Machiel.
Yes.
To talk about one of the pieces that he's working on, his next creation, which is called Easy Perpetual. And he has reimagined the perpetual calendar and made it something that is user-friendly and correctable. When I say that, I saw someone wearing a perpetual calendar at Geneva, not this year, but last year. The date was all out of whack because it just was impossible to get it corrected again because it was an older perpetual calendar. Right. And but what Machiel has done, again, Machiel, like Andre Burkus, he has created this in-house by himself. And when I say it by himself, we hear of watchmakers that make everything in-house. Machiel took this to another level and actually created even the rubies in-house. Nobody does that.
Rubies?
Nobody does that. He makes his own jewels in-house. And and he doesn't even come from a watchmaking background. He was involved in science and possibly in IT and data. And he decided that he had a calling. He had one of those epiphany moments in life, and he received a calling, and he went and answered it, and he has created this astonishing tourbillon.
I had it in my hand. I wore it, and I'm like, I was like, I've never seen something like this. The way it,
we had it yesterday.
The way it looks, yes, it was like one of those moments for me. I was like, you know what? And before the crowd came in, and he came to have a drink, and we were talking, and I said, and then said, come with me, and he showed me those two watches. The first one, what he made, and this one, and I was like, this is crazy. I mean,
it is crazy.
Yeah.
It is indeed. It is indeed. And a testament to the inventiveness and just traditional watchmaking. Machiel, again, like he actually did not use CAD or CNC or like this is watchmaking like it was done
before. 200 years ago when this started off with watches.
Absolutely.
With all those machines, those lathes and this and that. This is how, hand lathe and, things which nobody even can think about right now. And and when I look at it and I say, when it says that it's $130,000, I'm like, you should be charging $250,000 for something like that, because it is a piece of art which you made yourself. With every piece of that timepiece is made by you.
I would argue that it's probably fairly pitched at that price point, but it is also it is an introduction. It's his subscription piece where younger watchmakers go to college and do their Montre École. Machiel, yes, did his first piece called the Mary Elise, I think, after his daughters. And this is his tourbillon. This is his swan song. This is his I Have Arrived. And to have created this, literally being a self-taught watchmaker,
Yeah.
that is the spirit of independent artisanal watchmaking.
Yeah.
That's what lights my fire every time, Jay.
So
Is
going about this, self-taught and self-made watchmaker, I have a guy from Brooklyn, Russian national, lived in Brooklyn all his life, Dan Reuter. I mean, Dan Reuter, I first met him at a watch event at Bucharest. And I was like, who's this person? And he was like very friendly to everybody, talking to everybody, looking at watch. He had a loop with him. And I'm like, why does he have a loop with him? And he was looking at different things. And there were also a lot of collectors with independent watches, with them. And he was looking at each of them. And then I got introduced to him, said, hey, Chris, watch Chris, the guy who actually founded Gotham Watch Club. He introduced me to Dan and said, hey, this is Dan, a very, very close friend of mine. And he's a watchmaker. I said, watchmaker? He said, yes. And watchmaker, I mean, that takes me to a crazy level. I'm like, what? He's a guy from Gotham Watch Club. He's a watchmaker. And then I started talking to him and he said, yes, like you said, a calling. And he started making watches. He got the moments from somewhere, and he actually worked on the moment and made the case, made everything by himself. And there you go. That's Dan Reuter, New York. And I was like,
New York watchmaking. There
yeah,
you go.
yeah,
It just demonstrates the spread of independent watchmaking is truly international. It
yes,
knows no borders, no frontiers
yes,
anymore,
yes,
and it's, to me, that's a fabulous looking piece. It
yes,
is based on what I think is the 7753,
yes,
which is the bicompax chronograph
yeah,
display.
yes,
And yeah, he's done again. When I say it's based on, I think he has taken the mechanism,
yes.
disassembled it, and
Worked
taken.
on it, worked on it, got it sorted, made it the way it was supposed to be for his way of thinking. And that is what it is. You are somebody, you have this mindset, and you want this mindset to be that what your path is going to be. And I don't know, man. I mean, I've seen a lot of people, and each and every one of them has got his own way and the path.
Of course, of course.
This is insane. I mean, Dan Reuter, such a simple, and and he had all his friends over there, each of them who had his watch, which he made like a piece unique for them, and they were all so showcasing those watches. I think there were about 15 watches over there of Dan Reuters, and I was like, you didn't start just 2 years ago, man. You started this about 15 years ago, and you're looking at that particular thing, what you just want to give out. And that, I think yesterday he dropped the new one, which was he launched and dropped it. Was I've seen watches made.
I have an image of it. It's not a great image, Jay. It's not a great image.
I'm so
We'll have to,
sorry I sent you this one, but
we will have to fire the photographer and
yes, yes. I
yeah.
mean, that's me.
What? I don't mean that.
But the yellow dial with guilloche, which is done by one of the top guys of American watchmaking, and they sort of collaborated on this piece. I think he's got the, what do you call that? I think he's got uh, the moment from Strela, and he's worked
Okay.
on that. And I mean, you know what I mean? It's like a super
Urtile.
it's like a super watch, which has got every super person working on it, and he's actually the creator of it. And you know what I mean? That is what watchmaking is all about.
Nice touch.
Everybody
Yeah.
collaborating, and helping each other. And this is what independent watchmakers do. I know that Shona Twain does the same thing. She helps all of these young watchmakers to reach their destination by making and helping them with design, with what to do with the moment, with with what are the complications, what you need to have on that. And that is what it is. This you don't find anywhere else except for independent watchmaking.
Well, absolutely. And when you say working with the greats, you've probably got, as you say, Andrea Streller has a company called Urtile. Urtile does a lot of research, development, and elaboration, if you like, for independent and not so small brands.
Yes.
You get the case probably from Caton, Linens Company.
Yes. Yes.
The dial, you're saying, from one of the US watchmakers, possibly Shapiro. I'm not 100% sure. And so there's it's great collaborative effort, and that help a watchmaker to realize the dreams, realize what they wanted to create.
Yes.
So it's not a great image, folks, but it was only dropped last night. But Jay, maybe is there anyone else? Yeah, there was one more that we were going to talk about before we move on, and that was there's another young watchmaker, Samuel Gillios. I don't have any images of it except for what I was able to get from his online presence.
Yes.
And so you were saying you saw this, which is the jumping regulator.
Yes.
So a regulator,
with the hour on the bottom, and the minute retrograde, I think on the top, But you see what it is. You see that it's his hand, his signature. It's his way of showing people, look, this is what I am, this is what I do, and this is a very special thing. And you can take it the way you want it. You think what I did.
It's stunning. As you say, again, it's a new emerging talent in this independent sphere.
Yes.
And is, again, he was in Geneva. I don't think he had a space officially. He was. I walked past him a couple of times in the bar in the Beau Rivage, and he was showcasing his creation to customers, collectors, and to journalists. And I personally did not get a chance to get looking at it, but I hope that we will in future get a better opportunity.
Oh yes, I think that is exactly what it is. This podcast which you founded, this is what you do. This is what this particular situation is all about. This is
it's the reason that we're doing it, is to
showcasing talent who have an amazing mind, who have amazing creativity, and you talk about their creations in your podcast. And and this right there, look at that. I mean, what can I tell you, man? I mean, wow.
Well, I'll tell you what, you say that, Joe, and I appreciate your kind words, but a lot of these young watchmakers now actually don't really need a huge amount of leverage to get up and running. Like you mentioned to me about Andre before the show, is an 8-year waiting list for Andre's creations.
8 years.
And because of this incredible awareness of the individuality and exclusivity that you get from independent watches that you really don't get from big brands.
Yes.
As I said in previous episodes, I have nothing whatsoever against the big brands. I actually think that that people collecting the better known brands, that's their gateway into this other world that we specialize in, that we have kind of invested, or myself anyway, in promoting and championing the cause. But these young guys are coming out of college, of Morto or Wostep, and there's collectors already waiting to pounce.
Yes. How's about money? I mean, remember? I mean, young guys, 2 of them who just got the Louis Vuitton, the award, and
Yeah.
their wait list is like, just gone to another level. I mean, I think
It's,
for the next 15 years you can get a watch from them.
I know, but it's a good thing, and in a way, I view it as kind of, I can see an issue with it as well, because if you mentioned Isma and Mona, and they rightfully won the Louis Vuitton prize, and that's a hell of an accolade. But wherever you get a waiting list that is going past 5 years, 6 years, 8 years, you're kind of tied, I think, to some of the creations that your early creations. And knowing our watchmaking friends, they've got so much creativity, they've so much going on, and so many new ideas and things that they want to do, that sometimes I wonder, if you've got a waiting list of 5 years, does that not tie you back a little bit?
It does.
And
For the creativity, yes.
yeah, but I tell you, I think there's a little brand who are good friends also, Peterman Beda.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think they have a 2-year waiting list, because that's because they say we're going to create enough watches, release watches that will take us 2 years to create. After that, there'll be something new. After that,
Then
there'll be something new.
then you have another 2 years wait, which actually makes a lot of sense. You have a limited edition of so many watches, which takes 2 years on the whole for production.
Yeah.
And that is going to be for these specific people, and that's it. And then you have the next.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense to me.
I could see how it could stress, put a young watch brand under pressure. Like, just to even reflect back what we mentioned about Machiel Hulsman, about the €130 for €1,000 for his tourbillon.
Yeah.
If you're tied to that one piece, someone like that is an inventor. Andre Burkos is an inventor, constantly creating new pieces. Now, whenever we say there's a waiting list of 8 years for Andre, as I said whenever we were talking with him, I don't think he ever really makes the same piece twice. There's always something new, and that's what keeps his creative energy going. Is to move evolution, iteration, to continuously conceive new ideas. And that's what I think you get with these young watchmakers, that they're coming out, they're already famous. Not famous, but they're already in demand.
Yeah.
And where we look at some of the pioneers of this particular age of independent watchmaking, and I can remember going back into 2007, 2008, you see some of these amazing watchmakers that you cannot get a date with these days, and they were waiting for the phone call, waiting for the email, and now it has changed so dramatically. But I guess that is just the nature of art and collecting, that people are now that they want to know who is the latest. If you're in contemporary art, for example, who is the latest Banksy or something like that.
Yes,
they want to get in on the ground floor, and you can't blame them for that either. Sometimes I do wonder if young watchmakers coming out, they tend to undervalue what they're creating, and I think sometimes that is something that they should. There should be someone mentoring them there to say, you need to make sure that all of your maths work out. That, at the end of the day, it's great to have all these customers.
Remember, I don't know if what was Frank Miller's the Cypriot Greeks, the Watch World, was it the name of his company, where he bought Frank Miller when Frank was an independent watchmaker? He was one of the greatest complication artists what there was, and he did all of these crazy hours and all of those things, and he came up with some crazy watches. And then he was acquired by this particular Greek Cypriot gentleman, and called the watch company was called the Watch World or something like that. And he also integrated Pierre Kunz, who was also an amazing watchmaker.
Yes,
exactly. And then he had another couple of watchmakers who were in this conglomerate. He he was the first one who started collecting watchmakers. But the problem was that's when the downfall happened in a way that people, it was too many watches were produced and too much of, and then nobody, had an idea what was going on. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I hope that doesn't happen with watchmakers like the new ones who have just come out, like a Louis Vuitton saying, you know what, let us acquire this company for $10 million, $100 million, and let us have them create watches for us. And like Gerard Genta situation, how that happened, or or what do you call that? Daniel Roth.
Daniel Roth,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? All of these, the Bulgaris and all of these big guys who are like, trying to get a little bit for themselves from these amazing watchmakers,
Yeah.
which actually hurts thinking about, is this going to be the future of watchmaking?
No, I don't think so. I think look, I've been speaking this week with a really good friend, Philippe Norbel, who is
Oh, yes, of course.
Joey's.
Spanish,
Yeah, Klanich. He has
Spanish.
his own brand and his own name, and he
But he
also
was
has.
also Audemars Piguet. He also did,
Oh,
parts for Audemars Piguet and things like that.
but I mention him because I think people like Philippe Norbel are at the center of something that is an ecosystem, that they're all looking out for one another.
Yeah,
And yeah, look, of course, you're always going to get people who are determined to go their own way and
yeah,
sometimes make their own mistakes. But when you've got something like Manufacture SA, which is Philippe and Natasha's little community
yeah,
ecosystem, I use the word probably too much, uh, where they've got all of these young people who are absolutely gifted at certain disciplines of watchmaking and bringing them in and creating a kind of a holistic environment which brings out the best in each one of them and to create either to create works of art or to go out into the world and establish themselves in their own right. And but they'll always have that community. If someone goes out, if a young watchmaker goes out and starts his own company, and he knows that he can fall back on that community that he has been nurtured in and mentored by, and so I think when you're saying it's that type of thing that you mentioned about Daniel Roth, about Gerald Genta, about maybe could I even say Peter Speak Marin, who is
there you
you
go.
know the Speak or it's Peter Speak actually,
Big,
but his
right,
former brand
former
Peter
one.
Speak Marin
Yeah,
was acquired and doing amazing things. I have to say, their new piece that was showcased in Geneva is amazing. I don't have images of it here, but also Peter Speak himself working and teaming up with Schwartz Etienne
yeah,
for another absolutely ice cool collaboration, and so it's brilliant to see that happening too. So, do you know something? We're trying to put in a pigeonhole something that is constantly shifting, a dynamic that is evolving and moving all of the time. So, yeah, you'll get brands that come and go, and you'll also get young people who are arriving now who will be literally the stars of the next 10, 20 years. And you have this absolutely insatiable market of collectors who are
yes.
looking for these pieces. And so it's it's all fascinating times. Before we sign off, Jay, my friend, uh, give us a little bit of an insight. So, what was your day like yesterday, or your evening like in the event? Where was it held? This is the Indies NYC. I should have dealt with this at the start, but heck, I'm curious to know what the event itself was like.
So I was a bit in a stress situation because when you work for a big event, you need to have supplies coming from other places. So you're renting out glasses, you're renting out spoons and cutlery and those plates. So we had a situation where they last minute canceled on me, and so I had to check for something else or somebody else. But I did find out, and I did get it all sorted. So I started my day at 7:30 in the morning, and then I ended it at 1 in the morning. So, that was a day which was a bit crazy. It's all about precision. It's all about professionalism. It's all about, getting the things out there, because the people out there don't give a damn how it happens. It has to happen, and it has to happen the right way. We had two people outside, one behind the bar, getting the drinks out. There were white wine, white wine, sparkling wine. There was whiskey. There was, Aperol spritz. There were about 5 different small bites going out, like, masala latkes with mushrooms, with the oyster mushrooms and creme fraiche. There was a biryani arancini with a mild cashew korma sauce. There was a open, like a beef steak sando with caramelized onions. There was a masala aioli which went in there, and some tomato confit. It was so nice. I mean, and then we had a curry leaf risotto with a ginger garlic butter crab, which people were just going crazy about it, and
Fantastic.
that's what it's all about. And
And you were catering to what, 400?
yeah, it was about 400 people who came in, but we thought it would be around 300 people. So I did have more food. I always take more food so that not a lot of people don't have to complain like, oh, there wasn't anything there. You see what I mean? We give enough food, and that's what I did. But I also had the opportunity to look at all the pieces and we talk to our friend from Sightwinkle, Albert, and to talk to Andre Berkus. I talked to Eric from Ariano, is it? Yes.
Yeah.
And I talked to Frederick from the Juvenot. I talked to Holzman. I talked to everybody, because they didn't expect to see a bearded guy walking around with an apron and talking about food and talking about watches, because I think you normally see chefs talking about food, not about watches, and that's why I think they were very happy about the whole thing. And I have to say, hats off to John Cruz, hats off to Marie Ansel. They have put out something which is very special, like you do in Ireland. You do the same thing with all of these independent watchmakers and have this amazing salon where you have people coming in who are, collectors, who are interested in those particular timepieces, which are not like the common situation what everybody sees, but they are the best of the best watchmakers.
Incredible watchmakers.
Yes, who are
You're
present.
talking about the Festival of Time that
Yes, yes, yes,
I have
exactly.
organized with
Exactly.
for 3 years in
Yes.
22, 23, and 25
Fine.
here in Ireland, and
And I hope I would love to come and see you do the same thing and be there with you, and and check that out. I mean, I would love to.
we are. I can say only this, Jay. I am working on it. I have. There certainly is a lot of interest in it, and so I'm looking at it. I'm looking at something for 2027. So let us watch this space, and when I have news, I will make sure that after I have broken it here at the house, you have to be careful. I will be coming back and telling everybody here, and so so there we go. Yeah, that's something that there's we're working on it. It's a work in progress. Let's say it, and we will see. I get such a buzz out of doing the Festival of Time, and I have done it because it comes from the heart. I always say that about this, that it has been a privilege of mine to make the acquaintance of these people who I consider to be the history makers, people who would be looked back on in the
Yeah.
future as creating history in watchmaking art at this time. And because I have that fascination with what they do, to know these people in the way that I do, and for as long as I have known them, it has been a great honor. So if I can do something, I've always said, if I have a mission statement, it is to stimulate awareness of independent watchmaking and to promote
You
these
have,
people whose
you have,
names were never known. I don't know if they need me so much nowadays. I think that their names are out very, very quickly. Again, I think the internet has been a
but you
fantastic.
see, it is not about what they need anymore. It's about what you did and what the connection is and what the relationships are. That's it.
Well, let's
Also,
see.
younger watchmakers who know about you, what you've done, is also another thing. And this is, as I said, this is all about relationships and nothing else. And relationships with these young talent is insane. And just the way they talk to you without anything, which they're like normal, the most normal people. And so
But they are normal people. They are ordinary people. These guys are get up in the morning and they're not running off in suits and ties to board meetings and to they're going into their workshops. They've got a piece that they're working on. They're going to be polishing a piece of brass with shellac wood and diamond paste for the next 4 hours. They're ordinary people. I think you find that in pretty much every walk of life. People who are celebrated, who are idolized, who are put on a plinth as music or acting or anything like that. They're really deep down. They're all very approachable, mostly.
yeah.
But anyway, listen, Jay, we're nearly approaching the hour mark. I was struggling to see how we would get past 30 minutes whenever we started this out. So somehow or other, we have we're approaching the hour mark. So
I'm never worried about the time which passes by here because it's so much to talk about. There is so much to say. It's just a fascinating theme, and it's a fascinating subject, and this is why we can talk about. I have another 100 minutes which I can go on about, but you see what I mean. This is what this life and this is all about emotions and relationships, and this is why I love doing this with you.
Jay, it is a great pleasure for me. I get such a buzz out of it. Like we're 5 episodes back into In the Metal after what seems like an interminable wait or gap in between. And I'm delighted to say, folks, if you're interested for a start, what Jay and I hope to do is kind of do a weekly magazine with a discussion about what's coming up or what's new. We'll talk about events, we'll talk about new releases, and basically news, things that's happening and that we want to share with you. And also, I'm delighted to say that we will also be doing a number of the interviews with Dan Spitz, interviewing the watchmakers in kind of the old format that we used to, that In the Metal started off as. And so we're kind of bringing you a little bit more of a diverse offering, and so those are all things that we'll be looking forward to as well. So it's great to be back doing this, Jay. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on board, and so folks, until the next episode, I would like to thank you all very much indeed for joining us once again, and do us a favor, if you haven't already, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram and social media, and we look forward to seeing you the next time around.
Thank you.
Okay, then.